Mr. Marabou Stork and the Ugliest Crew by Tanya Nyack. Good day to you, dear children. How do you do? I have got a fantastic story for you, and it begins in Africa, in Timbuktu. The morning sun shone brightly down upon the African waterhole, where day and night a menagerie of animals came by to drink. Tsoko the vervet monkey sat in an acacia tree and watched the animals come and go. And who did he spy from those branches, do you think? Mr. Marshall Eagle, Mr. Bateleur Eagle, and Mr. Fish Eagle all sat in a stately acacia tree in the morning sunshine. Tsoko thought to himself that the birds looked mighty fine. "Everyone knows I'm the strongest of birds," said Mr. Marshall Eagle. "Everyone knows I am the most handsome of birds," said Mr. Bateleur Eagle. "Everyone knows I have the sweetest voice," said Mr. Fish Eagle. Tsoko nodded his head and appeared to agree that the birds were fine and regal indeed. Mr. Lappet-faced Vulture, a member of the Ugly Five, had landed on a neighboring tree, but he shook his head vehemently. He simply did not agree. "Those ridiculous birds are so very vain," the vulture muttered quietly. "Their arrogance simply hurts my brain. Meanwhile I work so hard to keep the bushveld tidy, and majestically fly up high on thermals with my wings, so very mighty." It was now time for the elephant herd to arrive for their morning bath and drink. Mrs. Ndlovu and the herd played in the water and mud, and did not even give the birds presents so much as a blink. Mr. Marabou and his wife were next to arrive, but barely got out of there alive. "Shoo, you ugly birds!" trumpeted Mrs. Ndlovu so loudly that the three raptors immediately heard. She shook her head and trumpeted some more, and her stomping feet sent shock waves right through the floor. "This is the elephant's waterhole, and for elephants alone. If you stay, the sight of your hideously ugly faces will surely make the youngest of elephants groan." Mr. Marabou was so ashamed. His face was already all red, and then he blushed. He thought that the waterhole was free for all, and simply for his peaceful presence there, he should surely not be blamed. Still, he and his wife gave their strong wings a strong flap and flew away. As the elephant herd moved on to their browsing and grazing, and made the twigs and branches snap. Hetty the hyena and Wilma the warthog heard the fuss, and wished that the elephants were shipped away immediately in a bus. "Mrs. Ndlovu is so high and mighty," said Hetty to Wilma, "even though she deserves some respect, because she is nearly 90. "Indeed," said Wilma, "but as you know, she thinks that all the big 5 members of lions, leopards, rhinos, buffalo, and elephants are above, and to her we are the only lowly crew below. She shifts her weight around as if the elephants were the only important animals that abound. It is true, to her mind, that none of us may never even make the faintest sound. I heard what you said, and I know it is true, said Mrs. Ndlovu. You are members of the Ugly Five, and you should neither be seen nor heard, I'm telling you. Hetty Hyena's face was aghast. There was room for everyone in the bushveld, because it was simply so vast. The wildebeest came down to the waterhole to drink, and was it a good experience for them? What do you think? No sooner were they lapping at the cool water than they heard a loud growl, and on Papa Lion's face there was the meanest scowl. No one had noticed the lions asleep until now, because the lion cubs had not given a peep. It was daytime, and time for all the lions to sleep. Pretty soon a trusted ranger and eager tourists arrived in a jeep. Snap, snap went the cameras, and the children with excited eyes, transfixed on the scene, never gave a peep. All cameras were on the lion, and the wildebeest were ignored. They milled about and simply looked bored. Papa Lion strutted proudly about. Look how big my teeth are, the lion said, and how my impressive shaggy mane flies about. The Papa Lion proudly tossed his head, while Mama Lion slept away in bed. The ranger in the jeep drove away, remembering where the lions were for another day. Nubsy and his rhino mum arrived at last, and set about in the mud by the waterhole to play. But wait, Nubsy was soon firmly stuck in the mud, and Mrs. Rhino simply could not stay. Help, help, she shouted. Someone please, my baby is stuck in the mud. We desperately need help. Hetty Hyena gave the loudest yelp. She thereby quickly alerted her animal crew. They would surely know just what to do. Mr. Marabou was first to arrive, and into the mud unfortunately gave an ill-timed crash dive. Oh no, Mrs. Rhino, whatever shall we do? If we leave baby Nubsy alone as we search for help, he'll be orphaned and surely sent to a zoo. Mr. Lappet-faced Vulture arrived with a sturdy rope in his beak. Perhaps we can use this very strong rope that fell off the jeep. Hetty the hyena and the marabou tied the rope around Nubsy's waist in a firm knot. Then Wilma the warthog set off with one end of the rope in her mouth and ran off at a swift trot. But no matter how much she did heave and did hoe, the baby rhino did not budge, and Mama Rhino's tears began to flow. Mama Wildebeest gave the baby rhino a final gentle nudge, and out of the mud the tiny rhino finally did budge. Hip hooray, the Ugly Five has saved the day, said Soko the vervet monkey, and gave a little dance that the animals thought was quite funky. And so you can see that you should never judge a book by its cover, because the Ugly Five are truly an animal team like no other. They may not be the prettiest, smartest, or strongest you know, but they have a big heart, and if you ask me, if you are looking for a true friend, that would be the right place to start. Mr. Fish Eagle soon told everyone he knew that the Ugly Five were simply the very best crew. The word soon came to Mrs. Ndlovu's ears, and she had something to say that would soon allay everyone's fears. Ugly Five, I have not judged you rightly. You all deserve your place at the waterhole, not only by day, but also nightly. So it came to be that all the animals of the bushveld were seen, and also were heard. From that day forward, the animals all laughed, ate, worked, and played together. Yes, it is true, all the feathered, the hoofed, the scaly, the winged, and the furred.